You know, if the attention some of my videos are getting is any indication, there's a real interest out there for Skinner sights. But now here's the question. Is there real accuracy potential with an Aperture sight? Or is it kind of like throwing rocks? Well, you know what? Stick with me and we're going to talk about it. And I think you'll be surprised. Hi, George here, and welcome to Tales from Target Suite, where I'll share my perspective on guns and shooting, and we'll spend some time at the range. The acorns are falling. And every now and then we'll reconvene out in my shop back in Houston, or here at the farm in Louisiana, where I'll build some fun projects and we'll share an adventure or two that'll make even a grown man smile. And in today's video, we are going to take a look at the accuracy potential using an Aperture sight. And now, if you'll remember from my video that I did putting Skinner sights on the Marlin Model 39A, this rear aperture has a diameter of .096. And so in order to show you what that sight picture looks like, we can't look through here, but we can look at this. Now, this isn't a perfect scale, but it's pretty darn close, and it'll give you an idea of what a perfect sight picture looks like. Now, let's take a look at what some deviations look like and talk about their effect on downrange accuracy. So you can see that I've thrown a scale up there on that perfect sight picture, and you can see the heavy hash marks are at 20 thousandths of an inch, and the smaller hash marks are at 10 thousandths of an inch. And so here's that sight picture that's deviated by 20 thousandths of an inch. So here's the question. What does that do to the point of impact at 50 yards? Which is a reasonable yardage for my Marlin Model 39A. But if we do a little calculation, we can see that that deviation would result in a change of point of impact of 1.6 inches at 50 yards. If we had a deviation of just 10 thousandths of an inch, it would have an impact, it would change the point of impact by 0.8 inches at 50 yards. Now, it's pretty easy to see that a 20 thousandths of an inch deviation is an extreme deviation, and the eye should be able to pick that up really, really easily and correct. And I would even argue that the 10 thousandths deviation for most eyes is easy to pick up and correct. And so the potential for an Aperture sight to give real usable accuracy is there. But even with a larger aperture, say a .125 or even a ghost ring type aperture, it's really easier than you think to see a deviated sight picture and correct for it. And so the accuracy potential is there as long as the lighting conditions and the aperture size that you pick are reasonable. Now, let me see if I can demonstrate that with the Marlin Model 39A. Now, you're not going to be able to see the sight picture I'm looking at, but I'm going to try and duplicate that 20 thousandths of an inch deviation in the sight picture, and let's see what it looks like on camera. Okay, first thing I want to do is to shoot a group with everything lined up like it's supposed to. I'll be shooting at an 8-inch diameter plate at 50 yards, and the front post is going to be in the center of the plate as best I can. And the rear aperture is going to be centered around the top of that front post. And let's see where that 3-shot group winds up. Nothing fancy. Wow. I was shooting at the center of that target, and as you can see, we're a little bit left. We're not going to worry about that right now because I'm looking for a relative change in point of impact once we shoot that second group. Okay, now I'm going to try to offset by 20 thousandths, so my next group should be to the right. You know, it's nice when the empirical evidence lines up with the mathematical calculations. And it doesn't always work out that way. But in this case, and I'll bet you're wondering why I'm loading this up. I'll tell you in just a second. In this case, that second group is about 1.5 inches to the right of the first group. if we look at center to center. And that's what the calculation said it should be if I were to use that biased sight picture, which I did. I was about 20 thousandths, the equivalent of 20 thousandths off to the right as far as the front post inside of the rear aperture, and that's right where it should have been. So what's the moral of the story here? I guess it is that if you've been reluctant to embrace aperture sights because you thought A, they were either didn't have the accuracy potential that you needed, or that they require too much skill, then I hope we've satisfied those questions for you. And I encourage you, if it fits your shooting style, that you'll give them a try. They sure have made my shooting life much easier because I really couldn't shoot those standard sights anymore. But the aperture sight, it works really well. Now I'm going to see if I can hit those 8 or 9 cans of blast soda that are setting up on top of the 50-yard range with these 70-year-old eyes. So I'll see you in the next video. There it is.
There you go.
Is that all of them?
No, you got one in the center, I think. Shooting the invisible target.
It was. I'll see you in the next video.